Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to any replayers. If you're a replayer, don't forget that you can participate. You can tap on the screen for hearts if anything I say at all resonates with you. And you can also follow me on Twitter at joannazarach and on Snapchat. And if you have any questions, you can ask me there or, of course, on these broadcasts. Hi, hello to everybody else who's joining. And welcome to a little bit under the weather. Welcome to my daily broadcast, Money Habits. And I broadcast 7 days a week at 10 a.m. Central, and I talk about money. It's interesting. I find that not enough people want to talk about money and money management, money mindsets. And then I also find that a lot of people are obsessed with the top line, which is revenues, whereas I'm obsessed with the bottom line, which is profits. So if you're new to me, my name is Joanna Zarach. If any of my content resonates with you, please follow. And know that I'm here for you to answer any of your money questions. I actually spend quite a bit of my time sitting down with people and going through their personal financial situation and trying to educate them on how money works and trying to help them develop a money plan. So what I want to talk about today, Tuesdays, we talk about a task. And so if you've joined any of my broadcasts before, you may have heard me talk about this. One of the most instrumental readings of my entire life. There's only like 3 or 4 books that really transformed my life. When it comes to finances, when I was 21 or 22 years old, I think it was 21, I read The Millionaire Next Door. It so happened to come out that same year when I was 21, so I'm dating myself. And I read that book, and it was transformational to how I think about money and how I relate to money and my money mindset. And so luckily, I followed the principles of The Millionaire Next Door, not to a T. Like, I didn't go and be like, I better start a scrap business and move to a small house. But I was still young. But it was just the mindset. It was this idea of accumulating wealth. And that's what I'm trying to take people through in this journey, is to help them figure out how to accumulate wealth. Most people get really drawn to capturing wealth, winning the lottery, getting that business that's going to be 7 figures, right? Like, we really find that enticing. And, there are people who are extremely talented in doing that, and I admire them and I support them. But I always say, have a backup plan, right? Make some profit and keep the wealth. If you're that good, you still need a money plan, because most people don't expect that streak to end, and so they may not plan for it. But today's topic, and what I want you guys to do, is to introduce you to this topic, to this idea, if you haven't been familiar with it. So part of the Million Next Door study looked at people who were, they introduced some terminology in their studies. One of the terms was a prodigious accumulator of wealth. And that is someone who has accumulated more wealth given their age and income than average. Of course, they have an average accumulation of wealth and an under accumulator of wealth. And again, the things that go into the equation are time and money, right? So time being how old you are, right? So how long have you been earning an income? And then what that income level was will determine what your number is, right? So a lot of times people are like, well, what should I be aiming for? And, you go to a personal finance, financial advisor would be like, well, depends on your situation. But there are people who are starting saying, look, when you get to this number, like, you can basically not run out, given your just an average lifestyle, right? Like, if we talk about the $75,000 a year and how any more than that really isn't buying you any extra happiness. So if you want to have a modest lifestyle and you want to live out, your life, when you get to press I think that someone calculated like $2.5 million, $3 million net worth, and you invested conservatively and wisely just in the stock market that, on average will return 8%, you're not going to run out of money, right? So, but today's exercise will be to get you guys to calculate your own expected net worth. And so here's how you do that. What did I do? I was like, well, let me see. This is not a new concept. Someone must have done it already. I'm like, let's not rework. Let's just find something that works well. So if you Google the term PAW calculator, I found this website called SaveMillions.com that has a calculator on it. I'll zoom in. Okay, this is the SaveMillions.com, and I literally just Googled PAW calculator, like a paw, and then this is the inputs, and it does cite, excerpt from the Millionaire Next Door, and it's like multiply your age times your realized pre-tax annual household income from all sources except inheritances. Divide by 10. This less any inherited wealth is what your net worth should be. So, in case you don't want to do the math, this very nice fellow who had the mission 8 years ago, same as mine, and I reached out to him, but I haven't heard back. But if you want to go to his website, hello from Russia. So you can see this expected net worth calculator. So you can put in whatever your age is, and one of the things we're going to do tomorrow is do a few like what are the outcomes. But if you say, okay, let's say you're 25, right? And then if you have, if you maybe have a pretty good job, but it's a median income, so let's say you make 50,000, you have no interest and dividend income, no inheritance, and you will say, calculate, boop, calculate, say just based on income. Hello, calculator, okay. So this says at the age of 25, if you're earning $50,000, if your net worth is less than $62,500, you're under accumulative wealth. And if you had 125, you're an average accumulative wealth. And if you're more than 250,000, that's your prodigious accumulative wealth. So that's the idea behind a calculator. It is to check yourself and say, how am I doing against this calculation? Because a lot of times in life, we go through life and we ask ourselves, how am I doing, right? How am I feeling? How am I doing this way or that way? And I think financially, we look at external indicators to see how people are doing instead of sort of the wealth indicators to see how people have fared. And so my encouragement to you is to kind of check yourself based on where you are in life, both what's your age and what's your, where you are on the wage or salary income, then figure out what should you be aiming for. I think that's really the hardest thing people have is they don't know what to aim for. And if you don't know what to aim for, then how are you making progress towards it? And so I'm a very goal-oriented numerical person, so all of this has been very much in line with how I think about things. But that's at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's like a number, right? You're aiming towards a number. And so it just says that how are you doing based on your situation? And again, different people will be different situations. Now, if you do, obviously if you have a much higher income, then and you're older, then expected net worth will be a lot higher. And I think that's when a lot of people get very discouraged because they're like, it is just not possible, right? And you say, well, it depends on your priorities, right? It depends how you view what it is how you view accomplishment, right? And if net worth is not part of your accomplishments that you want to achieve, then you're not focusing on it, right? Therefore, you're not allocating both your time and your money to that. And so that's the, I think that's really the, the barrier or the mindset I'm trying to get people to get to is if you're not thinking about it, if you're not planning on increasing your net worth and you're not working towards it, it won't magically happen. And just like everything else in life, it has to be cultivated. Net worth has to be cultivated, and you have to understand money. So that's the assignment for you guys. That's the task, is to, again, I will tweet out the exact link, but it's SaveMillions.com. It's this fellow's website, and he has this calculator, and it's just clean. So I'm he's got the definition, he's got a calculator. one of the things that I think I want to do is I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Like, I don't want to tell you, like, oh, somehow I can come up with this concept. First of all, the Millionaire Next Door people did years ago, 20 years ago, when they were doing this research. Nothing's changed, like, in terms of wealth accumulation. But we just have more tools available to us, right? Like, back then, you were, like, reading a book, and you were like, oh, I guess I better, whip out my calculator. And here it is. It's a resource. Put your numbers in, put your age in, what's your annual wage and salary income. You also see what the expectation is. Like, if you're in a low salary environment, if you're in an industry that tops out at a certain point, you can project out and say, okay, if I'm 60 and I'm earning, $85,000 a year, what do I expect my net worth to be? Like, what is it that I'm capable of? Like, it's an equation. It is not like you can't conjure up the dollars. You have to focus on it, and you have to have a goal, and then you have to check yourself, like, how am I doing against what I think is possible? And then you need to start reframing where your money's going and where your money's coming from, right? Like, so flex the income muscle. It may not happen this year or next year, but you may need to have a 5-year plan and say, well, what am I doing? How am I contributing my time to make sure I flex that? So tomorrow we'll talk more about it. And then today, I think I'm going to do a Money Matters. That's right. I am going to do a Money Matters at 5 o'clock. It's 3 days weekends kill me, because the children are not in school. And so I haven't had enough time to really put my mind into the creativity of coming up with a topic, for Money Matters. Let's see if I actually gave myself sometimes I have ideas, so I write them down on a list. And so let's see if I can cover one of the ideas I have. Tell you guys now, if I just ever can navigate this. Okay. Tax diversification. Yes, I know. So exciting. I'm going to talk about tax diversification this afternoon at 5 o'clock Central. If you want to join, if you want to learn a little bit more about what I mean by tax diversification and how I have tax diversified. We're talking about Roth and 401ks and just taxes in general. But specifically, we're going to dive into tax diversification. Everyone should have tax diversification strategy as part of their investment portfolio and investment outlook. So we'll talk about that. I know you're like, what's a more exciting topic than tax diversification? Because again, it's one of those things that you got to start thinking about it. If you're serious about accumulating money over your lifetime, it's not going to happen without your interest. It's like relationships don't just happen. You put in the time and energy and effort into it. Projects don't just happen. You don't just like think about it and wish it. You got to make a plan. You got to, even like birthday parties, like everything that you do well, or everything you see someone else do well, a lot of thought and planning and effort and time and energy went into it. I'm telling you, you've got to do the same thing when it comes to money. And accumulated wealth is within everyone's reach, because it's time. Like, time is on your side. The younger you are, the more effective you can be in leveraging time as your biggest asset to grow your net worth. But never fear, no matter what age you are. Like, when you have more experience, when you're mid-age or even later in life, what's really amazing is that you have so much more experience to flex your income muscle on. And also you have a lot under your belt, and you know what it takes to run a life financially, right? I get all the pieces. A lot of times I see people walking in blind and going whoa, shit costs money, and I'm like, yeah, shit costs money, right? And the more complex your life, the more money it costs. And so having even that perspective, being realistic about how much money your lifestyle requires, you will need that, and you can leverage that experience to be even smarter about it. And you can flex your income muscle, and you can flex the relationships you invested in your life. You can do that. So anyway, calculate your expected net worth in a calculator. And tomorrow we'll talk about, we'll go through a few scenarios, and we'll say, okay, here's, if you're this age, this income, this is it, and this is where you need to be. I got to figure out how to get there, people. Basically, it's a message. It's like, stop blowing all your money, right? Stop just spending it. Create a goal. And when you have that goal, when you have an investment strategy, when you have a little extra money in the bank, you're going to start putting it towards investment instead of going, oh, Ooh, let's go to Disney World. Let's buy a new couch. Let's move to a bigger house. Start thinking about an investment like as part of your lifestyle, and then I'm telling you that's where your money's going to go. So thanks a lot for joining. I'll be on tomorrow. We'll talk about different examples of prodigious accumulators of wealth and under accumulators of wealth. Just give you a few ballpark figures to say what should you be aiming for. If you do not know where the finish line is, what are you running towards? So thanks everyone for joining. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time. See you tomorrow. Oh, see you tonight. Tax diversification at 5 and money habits tomorrow at 10. Bye.